In my last video, I talked about Wii games that were a bit on the mediocre side, so I figured, hey, why not? Let's talk about some Wii hidden gems, because, well, I'm still in the Wii mood right now, and overall, I think the Wii has one of the biggest console libraries out there, so it's only natural some classics would fall under the radar and just not be discussed as much as a result. So, here are my picks for Wii hidden gems. The first game I want to mention is Marvel Saga Koroinpa. This is a game I played once at a friend's house while I was younger and really enjoyed it, but didn't get around to owning until I was a bit older. This is also that one random Wii game from the viral image of the best Wii games from a few months ago. That's right, this is the game no one knew what the heck the guy was talking about who made that image, well, except for me and maybe the few other people who actually played this game. The best way I can describe Marvel Saga Koroinpa is you're trying to steer a marble to the end of the course. Think Super Monkey Ball, but instead of a thumbstick controls, you use the Wii's motion controls, and it works really well. I mean it, the game has some of the best use of motion controls I've ever experienced in a Wii game. It works so well, steering the marble never feels tedious or unresponsive like a lot of other Wii games. I also really want to compliment the music and stage design. The music is very mellow and chill, which helps to keep you from getting frustrated and angry. That's something I've always felt Monkey Ball struggled with. In those games, I've always got a bit mad and stopped playing them due to how intense they can be. Meanwhile, in this game, thanks to the music, cute ball designs, and fun track layouts, it never gets too frustrating. If you like this game, there is also a prequel, which is just as good, but I wanted to focus on the sequel here as it's the one I grew up with, and also it's a lot easier to find out in the wild. Moving on from Marvel Saga, let's talk about something a bit more blood-pumping. Let's talk about BlastWorks. Build, trade, destroy. BlastWorks is a horizontal scrolling shoot-'em-up where you fly and, well, blast stuff. The big unique thing about this game is after you destroy an enemy ship, you can pick it up and make it a part of your ship. It's seriously absurd the level of stuff you can stack on your tiny little ship. You can even take parts of the bosses. Also, unlike a lot of other shoot-'em-ups, this game isn't absurdly hard, which makes it more approachable to newcomers of the genre. Another cool thing about this game is the level designer. Back in the day, you could design your levels and share them online. Unfortunately, that feature has been disabled for a long time now, and I'm willing to bet that all of those courses that were shared are likely lost media now. That doesn't take away from how neat this mode is, and I sank a ton of time into this one when I was younger as well. Definitely check this one out. Moving on to a racing game of sorts, let's talk about Monster Jam Path of Destruction. Over the last few months, I've kind of developed a fondness for these monster truck games. There's just something about driving around in a giant truck and running stuff over that is so satisfying to me. The environments are so destructible in the standard racing mode, it's such a spectacle to behold. Another great thing is all the game types in this game. You have a trick mode, which works surprisingly well, a destruction mode, which is a ton of fun just destroying these cities, a weird style of car lawn darts, and lastly, my personal favorite, Truck Skee Ball, which is as absurd and incredible as it sounds. This game is a really solid package overall, but if I had one complaint, it's the truck's handling isn't the greatest, but I don't think that's enough of a downfall to keep this from hidden gem status. Now I want to slow things down a bit again and mention this little puzzle game right here called Professor Heinz Wolf's Gravity, or maybe just Gravity? I'm actually not sure. This is one of those weird games where the cover says one thing, but the title screen says another. On the surface, this is a supremely simple game. I mean, all you have to do is get the marble to touch the red button. However, like all great puzzle games, the fun and challenge lies in figuring out the solution to the puzzles. Take this puzzle right here. It took me nearly 15 minutes to figure out how I was supposed to go about getting the ball into the hole. It seems really simple, but in actuality, I had to place the piece in just the right spot in order for the ball to have enough momentum to knock down the piece, which would let the ball cross and touch the button. See, it's much more challenging and thought-provoking than it seems. I also can't stress enough how satisfying it is to solve one of the puzzles in this game. I was literally on a Discord call with a friend of mine and started shouting like a moron after I solved a few of these. It's that satisfying to figure these things out. Next is a rail shooter called Gunslingers. The Wii, in my honest opinion, did not have enough of this style of game. The reason why I say that is because the Wii was perfect for this type of game. The Wii remote is pretty much as good as using an actual light gun, yet for some reason the Wii only got a small handful of these games, and for my money, the best of them all is Gunslingers. Gunslingers is a fairly standard light gun shooter. Point to the enemies and shoot, and don't shoot civilians or you lose points. One big thing about this game is that the score system is really good. You get bonus points for getting headshots, and a ton of points if you're able to shoot down an enemy's attack. Makes the game feel really frantic, but never overwhelming. The difficulty here is just right in my opinion. I also love the aesthetic of this game. The stylized western feels like such an underutilized concept to me. It really helps this game stand out next to games like Dead Space Extraction and House of the Dead. I will say though, some problems with this game are the character models are pretty bad, and this is one of the more expensive games in today's video, but if you can get a decent deal on this one, I definitely recommend checking it out. Getting back to something a bit more blood-pumping again, I want to mention Dragonball: Revenge of King Piccolo. This is a beat-em-up set in the Dragon Ball universe. To be more specific, it's a loose adaptation of the Red Ribbon Army Saga up until the very end of the original Dragon Ball run. If you're familiar with games from this genre, then you will know that the goal is simple: beat everything up in the stage and advance. This is a fairly standard beat 'em up in that there are upgrades that can be bought with Zenny, items that can be used against enemies, and bright special screen clearing moves that help when things get too crazy. There's some light platforming here to break things up, but it's clearly not the focus of the game. I do want to mention the graphics for this game, which look really good. Wii games can look really good, they just need to be more stylized and not made to be realistic, and this game really proves it to me. Lastly, I want to mention that there is a multiplayer fighting mode, which is neat, but it isn't going to set your world on fire. Overall, I think that this is a really solid game and well worth your time. Lastly, I want to mention Def Jr. Root of Evil. This is a sequel to a PSP game simply called Def Jr., and it's a 3D platformer with a bit of an emphasis on combat. The closest comparison I can think to make is that this is similar to a Ratchet & Clank game, in the sense that your characters have a melee attack, but also a fairly unique variety of weapons. I in particularly like this one weapon where you essentially throw Molotov cocktails, but they're toilet paper rolls instead. It's just kind of silly and goofy, and that's what I like about this game. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The writing also fits the tone, as the characters often make fun of or tease each other, but in a way that little kids would, which makes sense as Def Jr. is only in middle school. Overall, this is a bit of a standard 3D platformer: run, juke, jump, and stop the enemies. It's all fairly standard stuff, but it's executed really well. This game uses motion aiming for the guns, which you should know by now I'm a big fan of. I also want to point out how unique the levels and enemy designs are. For instance, in this level I'm currently in, I'm in a graveyard for toys, where the toys are resurrected and I'm fighting freaking rubber ducks with dynamite strapped to them. If this doesn't at least somewhat interest you in checking out the game, I don't know what will. I also like how every stage has some semi-dark or eerie vibe to it. This really helps the game stand out next to a 3D platformer like Mario Galaxy. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. If you want to know what my top 3 favorite games are, I would say it's Marble Saga Koroinpa, Gunslingers, and Def Jr. Root of Evil. However, all of the games featured in today's video are great and well worth checking out, in my opinion at least. Did I miss one of your favorite games? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more if you enjoyed what you saw. Thanks everyone, and peace.